Call to order this meeting of the Sebastian Natural Resource Board for October 1st, 2019. Could we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can we have roll call?
Yes. Ms. Brothers? Here. Ms. Ware?
Here.
Mr. O'Neill?
Here.
Ms. Callahan?
Here.
Mr. Stadelman?
I'm here.
Thank you.
Can I get a motion to approve the minutes of the last meeting?
Motion.
Do I hear a second motion?
A second.
Motion to approve the last minute is passed by voice vote. We got to take a vote on that?
Yes. Yes.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? Minutes for the last meeting are approved. Okay, we have a few announcements. Introduction of new board members. If you guys want to introduce yourself to us and give us a little background.
Yes, Kathy Brothers. I've lived in Sebastian for 2.5 years. I'm a retired attorney and banker from Nashville, Tennessee.
Welcome. Welcome, Ms. Brothers.
We currently have one alternate position and one regular position available.
Is there any public input?
May I go back to the announcements? Will you be able to, Kim, pass along new contact information to all of us? She has ours, et cetera. The board members, we usually have a list of all of us so we can email and such.
We sent that out for the planning of the Earth Day, but yeah, it's public record.
But now you have 3 new members.
Right. We can send
I
that.
was just looking for an update.
Sure.
Thank you.
Anything else under announcements? I'll move on to public input. No public input. New business, item A on the agenda is a day in the life of the Indian River Lagoon on October 10th at 9 a.m. I'd like to solicit the board members for volunteers, if anybody can.
Can we ask what it is?
Sure. It's an event we hosted last year at the Oyster Garden as well. It's a collaboration with a local organization called See a Difference, and sort of a snapshot day. So there's multiple locations all up and down the county, in Brevard County, Martin County, and they're all doing all these water quality parameters at the same time. So it creates a snapshot of the overall health of the lagoon. It was a great success last year. There'll be a homeschool group of kids that'll be helping, and we'll have different stations. And we'll have some volunteers at our group from the American Legion as well. So it'll be really quick. It usually goes just a couple hours. We run through a couple stations. We collect the same data like 5 times and at each station.
Similar to the oyster thing we did in the summertime?
Yeah, a little different that we're just collecting this data.
Okay. Well, I'm available.
I should be available for the first hour.
Okay. No problem.
And the meeting location place is right there where the Oyster Garden is?
Yeah, I'll send the Oyster Garden. You've been out there before. It'll be the same, and we'll be there at like 9 a.m., just setting the things up, and then it goes pretty quickly. I think quicker this year than last year is because we've done it before.
Okay, is that enough for new business? Anybody else got anything? If I wanted to bring up something, would I bring it up under new business or under member matters?
Member matters.
Member matters, okay. Moving on to Section 8, unfinished business. Item A, Sustainable Sebastian, a litter quitter update.
Yeah, unfortunately.
We don't really have one.
Right.
The meeting was canceled, so.
How's that going in general, though? How do you feel?
I think it's a good idea to use something that's already, like the wheel's already been invented, and so that, in that sense, I feel like it's a good program fit for us, but the lack of follow-through is very concerning to me at this point. I spent the weekend with Surfrider at the Sebastian Inlet for the beach cleanup, which was Keep Brevard Beautiful as well, and I didn't see anybody I knew there, so other than the Surfrider people. So we're gonna continue to try. I think I think that's the best solution. If we have to, I don't know. I mean, I hope we can do it.
At this point, we've trained the volunteers
Right.
that are, what we need are the marketing materials,
Right.
and also access to their online program, because we need to be able to set up the businesses. They need to be able to register them online, because the whole certification system is an online system.
Right.
So that's the main thing that our meeting was going to
Connectivity
establish.
from the, okay. So, but yeah, we're kind of in the dark at this point. That way.
Hopefully, we'll reschedule that meeting quickly.
But I would, that does bring up an interesting point, though, because when we originally thought about this, the whole idea was to use something that was turnkey instead of coming up with our own program. Now, Surfrider does have a program, and they presented to us, but their program involves a cost for the restaurant. So, that's why we kind of shied away and moved towards litter quitter. But, in fact, at this, maybe we need to look at both of them as our ambassadors if they want to get more involved, they can join the Surfrider and pay money, and,
Exactly.
and they still qualify for litter quitter. So, I mean, I don't know. It depends on what kind of follow through we see from Keep Brevard at this point, but it's hard.
May I ask a question, please? How does it work now that you've been trained in this, and excuse my ignorance, but how does the litter quitter program work? They give you a bunch of information that you share then with not just restaurants, but like all retail businesses? Is that what we're...
Basically, it's restaurants, so single-use plastic is really what it's designed to reduce. So it's a voluntary program. All they really have to do is stop using plastic straws to qualify. They'll get a sticker for their door that says they're a member of the Litter Quitter program, and they get some promotional value to it from their Litter Quitter website. So that's, in essence, it's a feel-good operation. American Restaurant Association has shown that people are willing to pay extra even, not that this charges them extra, but because there are sourcing availability to them that's at or below plastic costs. So it doesn't really
And
cost.
we supply them with those, like the alternative list, isn't that correct, Kim? That Litter Quitter provides us with
A
like a
list of
list of
vendors,
alternative
right.
venue, okay.
Yeah, and they'll give them, if they get to a certain level, they get coasters too, that can, Litter Quitter coasters, right, I guess, and.
Coasters and table tents.
There's a couple different levels when you decide to eliminate, straws is the first thing, and then you go up from there. Gold, silver, bronze, silver, and gold, I believe.
And then with Surfriders, is it the same type of program, but?
Yeah, it is, and they're also bringing out a ocean-friendly lawns program too, which is very interesting. So they're doing a lot of interesting stuff over there, but the problem with them is it costs. There's some kind of I can't remember what the cost is, but it's fairly significant.
For the restaurant to join them?
To join
you're saying? Okay.
Surfrider, what do they call it? Clean Restaurants or Ocean-Friendly Restaurants program. But you can go to Mustard's Last Stand in Melbourne. Mm-hmm. They're an ocean-friendly restaurant. There's a couple other ones, and all the restaurants that they have their meetings. I haven't been to any of the meetings. It's Treasure Coast Sebastian Inlet chapter, but they meet in Stewart and in Melbourne. So I haven't actually, this was one was here in Sebastian. I've been a member for years of Surfrider, but this was the first one I've been to here, meeting.
We had a woman speak here, was it in May?
Yeah.
And she was fantastic.
Shannon, yeah, and Eric are really good people. They're, and Surfrider is a great organization, but like I said, it costs money. And from what we heard, none of the restaurants are really up for paying money to be ocean friendly. So that's why we went with Litter Quitter, because the cost, basically. And it was close by, and we know some people there.
Sounds like a work in progress.
May I ask one question? I understand you did a presentation on that last month with PowerPoint. Can you send a copy?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I think everybody wanted to see that.
Okay.
The training book for that.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you.
Are there any more comments on the Litter Quitter update? Okay, we'll move on to the next item on unfinished business, board member review of proposed resolution for city council. Has everybody had a chance to look over that?
Yes. Yes, I did.
I'd like to go over this resolution before we take a vote on it. It is an actionable item. A resolution of the City of Sebastian, Indian River County, Florida, supporting the Sustainable Sebastian Initiative, providing for Scrivener's errors, providing for effective date. Whereas the Natural Resource Board was created by Ordinance O-07-11 on June 27th, 2007. With the mission to improve the quality of life in Sebastian by nurturing the beneficial relationship between our citizens and our environment by protecting, preserving, and promoting our natural resources. And whereas environmental sustainability is the achievement of ecological balance in which the needs of the present are met without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. And whereas City Council believes that a commitment to the environment is integral to a thriving and livable community, so they are committed to keeping sustainability in mind while supporting ecological, economic, and social needs of our community. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Sebastian, Indian River County, Florida as follows. Section 1, support for the Sustainable Sebastian Initiative. The City Council is in support of Sustainable Sebastian Initiative, which consists of 5 primary tasks to be championed by the Natural Resource Board. These tasks are as follows. Support overall reduction in the use of single-use plastics by the City of Sebastian and its business community by assisting and promoting Keep Indian River Beautiful, Keep Brevard Beautiful's Litter Quitter and Surfrider Oceans Friendly Restaurants programs and through the identification of alternative products. 2, support landscaping practices that promote a healthy native ecosystem by assisting and promoting Keep Indian River Beautiful lagoon-friendly lawns and University of Florida IFAS Florida-friendly landscape programs. 3, provide recommendations for city policies and codes related to natural resources. 4, protect and restore the water quality of all of our city water bodies by supporting the city's stormwater program in creation of toolkits and incentives emphasizing best management practices, low impact design, and green infrastructure. And 5, promote the city's overall livability through the promotion of active transportation, increasing the connectivity among trails and pathways, and promoting nature-based tourism. Section 2, conflict. All resolutions or parts of resolutions in conflict herewith are hereby repealed. 3, recording, this resolution shall be recorded in public records of Indian River County, Florida. 4, Shriver's errors. Sections of this resolution may be renumbered or relettered, corrections, typographical errors, which do not affect the intent and may be authorized by the city manager or the city manager's designee without need of further action of the city council by filing a corrected copy of the same with the city clerk. Section 5, effective date, this resolution shall take effective immediately upon its adoption. That's pretty much the end of that. So we can get some input from everybody, and because this is what we do. One of the things, what I'd like to do before I get that input, I'd like to just to go through with the new members who we are and what we do here, and then we'll go into this resolution. This Natural Resource Board is created, this comes from our Section 240 off of our city code. This is basically a law in this city. This board isn't set up so that we can all just come up here, meet each other, talk niceties about what should and shouldn't be done, and basically be either ignored or set aside or otherwise not taken seriously. If one part of the law is set aside, then I feel that all part of the laws are set aside. If one person thinks they can run the whole place by himself, then I think that person may be in a grievous error by not using the resources that are available to that single person or other board, regardless of who they are. The Natural Resource Board is thereby created a Natural Resources Board which shall consist of 7 regular members and 2 alternate members. And everybody knows about the meetings. Natural resource meetings, mission and duties. Mission statement is to improve the quality of life, and that's what this resolution is trying to do by the beneficial relationship between our citizens and our environment by protecting, preserving, and promoting our natural resources. In pursuit of this mission, the Natural Resource Board will provide analysis and advice to the City Council on environmental issues with a 3-pronged focus on preservation, enhancement, regulatory programs, and public asset management. And then as you go through all that, it describes the Arbor Day, Earth Day, everything else coming up. Regulatory programs and guidance will feature periodic review of the tree protection and landscape code provisions, proposals for development of additional areas of environmental protection and regulations. I would assume that that would relate to any annexations or anything like that, that this board could be part of and putting in real solid input. I mean, there's 7 people on this board, 2 alternates. That's a lot of brain power. Everybody up here is either a professional, a mature citizen, or with a lot of life experience, or can really add to whatever the city is trying to do. But it is the law that this board is to be included in that. Formulation of policy considerations to be used as guidelines by the Planning and Zoning Commission in consideration for land development regulations. And again, that refers right back to what I was just saying. Public assets management guidance will feature proposed planting of trees, development of environmental best management practices to be employed by the city. And I would assume that that would include fertilization, insecticide, as well as herbicide spraying without being so specific. And I'm not so concerned about this round of insecticides, or whatever you want to call it. I'm actually more concerned about what's coming next, because we can deal with this particular problem. It's so small, and the community is so lit up by it. I'm not worried about this one so much, because they got a good handle. I'm worried about what comes next, and I'm worried about the next boards that come on, that if they're going to be hamstringed or not. So I'm just bringing up where our positions are and letting everybody know where we're at on that. The City Council may assign or request additional activities by the board as they seem fit. Is there any chance I can get a copy of that article sent to the city manager's office? Yeah, the whole thing sent right to him, just so that everybody knows what this board is doing.
I'm sorry, Did I miss something, Mr.
No,
Stanley?
no, no, not at all. I'm trying to get everybody on the same page because I feel that sometimes this board here has been kind of ignored over the years when it comes to different items of environmental issues, not being so specific because I really don't want to get into some of the other issues like the glyphosate spraying, if I have to really mention it, or perhaps this new annexation that just went on. Both of those things are really supposed to be brought up in front of this board, or at least we can offer some type of input into those things. And I would like everybody on board, because everybody's still pretty new here. I mean, I don't think anybody here has a full 2 or 3 years experience with this city, including everybody, just about everybody in this room other than these two. But I wanted to make sure that everybody knows what this board's doing, what the law says we're supposed to be doing, and that everybody on this board knows what we're doing. That's why I brought that up with
And
the
Mr.
resolution.
Stamos, I'm sorry, you asked that something be sent to Mr. Carlisle. I missed that. What would you like sent to him?
I like that section 2241, Natural Resources Board mission duties, the whole section sent to him so that he knows that we're here for him. He can bring stuff up to the board. He doesn't have to be an island unto himself, per se. And that we are here for support of that, not to stand in anybody's way for whatever they feel, but I've talked to previous board members as well when they're out here, and they also have been in front of the city council at the meetings, basically with the same concerns, saying that over the years, due to the board being ignored, mostly with the weed control and things like that, some of these issues have grown exponentially and a little out of control, I think, because there's a lot of excitement out there over this glyphosate spraying, and I just don't see this board being anything coming in front of us about it, not at all. And I think it's very important, and it is within the rules of what we do, unless I need to get another
We've certainly had
opinion on
people, community members come before us and say that they don't want.
And it is on the record that at least one city council member has expressed interest for us to do that. And again, this stems from my personal motto of do what you can with what you have where you're at. So this is where I'm at, and this is what I'm doing for this. And again, it's not so much for this problem because there's so much of this stuff, so little of this really sprayed in our communities. For me, it's a particular item because he does spray in my backyard. But it's not just that. It's annexation, the city's getting bigger. We can be a real intricate part of this, and it would just be a grievous error not to include the brain power that is available to staff and to career employees of the city. I mean, we have everything from scientists to people who are energy raters to, I'm not sure what your position is and what you've done, but there's a lot of smart people up here, and I'd like to be included in all that. That was strictly that law that's in our code, and I just wanted everybody to remind it as we go forward voting on this resolution to send to the city council.
Is it possible to attach a copy of the code to the resolution as an addendum?
Do you feel like the resolution supports everything that is listed in the code?
It does, but this is the actual law, and that was what I was referring to, because I have to work within those parameters, and I can't excuse it, and I don't want anybody else to excuse it either. It's like the brain not knowing what the right hand's doing, not knowing what the left hand's doing. Yeah, you're going to have something's going to get done, but it may have been done even better than what you had in mind, just because you went and got another opinion. One of the most grievous errors I think somebody can do is to be isolated and try to do everything themselves, and whereas you have so many smart people that are available to you
For free.
yeah, basically. Basically, and I don't see anybody here bringing any of these issues to us, so that's why I was wanting to just remind the people who are players in this that we are here for help, we aren't here to hinder. City council involved, but because we have such a unique form of government here in Sebastian, it's not only city council we're sending this resolution to remind them what we're doing and to get everybody on the same page, but we have a city manager that also runs the show here in Sebastian that also would probably appreciate this information as well. And I'd like to know if I can send it to him as well. I don't know if I can or not, but I'd like to make a note of that.
I can assure you that Mr. Carla has probably read it, because he's a reader. But again, if, as Kim has stated, if there's things in the ordinance that you would like to emphasize within this resolution as part of your role in Sustainable Sebastian, please, we are editing this evening, and if you want it to go as just a whole package to Mr. Carlisle with the ordinance and with your words, if you will, that this board would really like to be a bigger player in the running of the city or in decisions regarding natural resources in the city, I think that's very appropriate. And again, I mean, this can be a whole big package that you submit to the city council so that they know, because Mr. Carlo works for the city, your representatives, and we work for them. So we're even a little further down that org chart. So again, if that's something that you want to bring together as one big package, please, we'll put that together for you. We'll be happy to share that. If that is your desire, you let us know.
And this was the idea behind the resolutions. It's everything that we've discussed and everything that everyone's been passionate about and everything that everyone sent me that Sustainable Sebastian meant to them. And it's compiled into one resolution. The idea is that if you approve it, once we pass it, if we can get into the next city council meeting, that would be October 9th, then all of you could come to the city council meeting. We'll present it to them. I think it's a great way for you to stand up and be seen and be noticed. I think that's the idea.
And again, I'd like to get consensus from the rest of the board. I know I talk a lot, and sometimes I have to go too long, but I would like to get consensus from the board to see what you guys' opinions are on this, and then we'll take a vote on the resolution, and we'll move on to the next item.
I had a couple thoughts relative to what's here. I know that you've made great effort in terms of listening to what we've all talked about in the past and putting that to paper, so thank you very much. I was also thinking along the lines that as far as other things that we could do, and I mentioned, I think in the it's in the last meeting minutes, kind of to prioritize these things. Certainly we're listing them out, but perhaps attack them a little bit more, get into more detail than necessarily what's here. I don't know that, I see this as a big picture document and that we don't want to put a lot of detail to it, but I might want to put the detail that we want to provide more, do more behind it and kind of give the substantive to come afterwards, but at least get this in front of them in terms of saying, this is our big picture roadmap, and we can get the instructions to follow. So that's one request for a detail, is to add more detail. The other is that I'd like to have a little bit more perhaps with resource conservation, preservation, infrastructure. And so some of the thoughts would be to kind of look around us and evaluate. I know that money is important to our taxpayers and how we spend it, but if there should be an LED light that needs replacing and we can go around and look at LEDs and we're saving energy overall and we're going to be reducing the burden to taxpayers for our electric to run the lights, I want to have initiatives that sound like, let's put into place things that are good for the environment, that will be cost-saving measures, and that might sound like infrastructure. It might sound like LED lighting or looking into solar or looking into hybrid vehicles where vehicles come up for replacement. So I was hoping to capture that kind of as a big picture topic to put in the resolution. And perhaps that can help with reduction of emissions and such too, as we go through, that's a resource preservation when you go into reduction of emissions, which comes from the hybrid vehicles. So it's kind of an infrastructure and resource conservation category that I'd like to add into this.
Well, exactly, it falls into exactly what we were discussing the last meeting about needing a basic guideline model for businesses that would begin at City Hall. And so we've had a lot of ideas. I want to rein it in and to narrow it down to specific categories. You know, I thought something like, you know, at the copier, around the office, at your desk, these are things. Create a guideline that's something that City Hall can follow as setting the example, and that would fall under the city policies and codes related to natural resources.
Can we add, other than that one sentence that's there, just maybe some examples then? A little fewer or more words just to when I read this, I did not have an understanding that those items were captured under that category.
Sure. So thinking like promoting resource conservation.
Resource conservation and evaluation of various infrastructure. One other item that fits into that category might be retrofitting or fitting the available water fountains that we have at park locations such as Riverview Park, where they have, we can do a water fill. So that helps people to come and bring their reusable containers to fill their water. Again, helping to preserve resources through reduction of single-use plastics. And anyway, if you could add some of those ideas in there, that would be great.
I'm liking your idea, and but I'm struggling for the correct verbiage, just like you. And I think I agree that that's a missing bullet. Don't you?
An
It's a
extra bullet.
missing bullet.
Yeah.
And, oh, is this lady like to get inside? Oh, I hate to make her walk around the whole building. Whoops. Anyhow, I want to stay away from the word infrastructure because that just encompasses so much, right? But I hear what you're saying, like evaluation of alternative.
Can we have a goal for fleet services for the city? I mean, have a goal that by, 2025, 50% of the fleet services are...
And I love that. I'd love us to go to solar, but shh, I'm on camera here. Yes, I'm a greenie. Can we use
Resource
green
conservation.
energy, alternative green energy? Can we use that term? Is that?
Resource
Review
conservation.
operational.
I'm sorry, I missed that. I'm sorry. Ruth, what'd you say?
I talked over you, and I
No,
apologize.
we were all talking, and I apologize.
Resource conservation overall.
Does
All
that
the things,
capture what we're trying to say about LEDs and the fleet?
Will we reduce carbon footprint? I mean, is that possible? I mean, is that broad enough?
Reduce the city's operational carbon footprint.
that is good.
I do kind of like
Yeah.
that. Are we
Reduce
going to
the
get in trouble
cities.
for that?
Reducing the city's operational carbon footprint.
By promoting alternative,
Fuels and, energy.
I don't know, alternatives, I don't know. Do we like that?
Alternative
Renewable
fuels and
energies. Renewable energy alternatives.
Let's see what Ms. Hagler comes up with all her writings here, and then
I know, and I've
we'll
got a
add
whole
it
bunch
into
going on here
the
too.
resolution if we have to.
Well, we're supposed to review and vote tonight.
Right,
so
Yes, ma'am, it is an actionable item.
So
Are
we
you
could make
finished with your comments on that for now? We'll go to the next person.
I have expressed the concepts that I would like to add in.
Thank you for your...
And I appreciate all the wordsmithing to get those concepts captured.
What did you come up with there, Kim?
Reducing the city's operational carbon footprint through promoting.
Through the use and promotion?
Renewable energy sources and
I'm sorry, Ms.
Renewable.
Brothers.
Through adopting sustainable, renewable energy sources where practical.
They're practical. We got a lawyer. Promoting, I'm sorry, sustainable,
I said promoting,
sustainable energy resources
where
where,
practical.
so we have reducing the city's operational carbon footprint through promoting sustainable energy resources where practical. Anything else you want to add to that?
Maybe sustainable technologies, because it covers more than just, technologies would cover automobiles and other things, I would think.
And implementation of sustainable technologies?
That may even
think it sounds
include
good.
mechanical.
I think that makes a great extra point.
Water harvesting stuff too, right? I mean,
Whatever we can really come up with
I mean,
to
or
get us from
LG has
where we're
an
at now.
interesting thing with the blue-green algae now. They have a solar setup that, I don't know, it kills blue-green algae in small lakes. I don't know, it's something to look at. I mean, I saw it advertised for the first time.
So I had another question on a different point here.
Yeah, absolutely.
As far as the second point here about the landscaping practices, I live in the Highlands. I see how many houses are being built right now, and every lot is being totally cleared. And I can't believe that's part of what is in our guidelines for them. Because I know as a member of the city that I asked to cut down a tree that was in the swale, and I had to go through a lot of ropes to have that happen. So I know that they're not supposed to remove hardwoods, and they're not supposed to remove palm trees unless exactly where the house is going, but they just raise everything. And I don't know how to address that, but it upsets me tremendously. And I think that this, just saying, okay, read your little flyer is enough.
Well, the Florida-friendly landscape program does require 50%, right?
Be platinum.
Right?
There's different levels, I thought. Or am I thinking of
Yeah, there's,
something else? Oh, that was the lawn.
it's like the litter quitter, there's different levels.
The lawn thing
Right.
had different levels.
But this is voluntary.
To address that, so for land clearing, there is a residential tree ordinance.
Right.
So when a developer applies for, to build a house on a lot, they submit a land clearing application. I do a land clearing inspection, and what we do is we look at the footprint of the house. Of course, they're allowed to remove the trees that are in the footprint of development and within so many feet of that footprint of development. Sometimes there are no other trees but pepper, and a lot of times you don't really realize that all those were invasive peppers. Anything outside that footprint, they have to have marked on their plans, and we mark them to be conserved, and they have to meet a certain requirement. So it's like a 7-tree requirement on a quarter acre. But if they save this 14-inch diameter breast height oak, that counts as 3 trees. So then they only have to plant 4 more. So if they do not save them, then they have to plant a larger tree in place of that. And but I'd be happy to send you that ordinance. But they do, and then I'm the first person that they have to go through, and I'm the last person. So before they get their certificate of occupancy, I go back again for what's called a final planning and zoning inspection. So I go back and I check and make sure, did they save the trees they were supposed to save? If not, then they have to plant this size tree. And do they have enough trees that they meet? Are they natives? Are they hardwoods? They can only have so much percent palm to hardwood ratio. So these things are checked. Unfortunately, yeah, a lot of the properties end up getting cleared cut.
And for the codes and policies, if you all ever look at municode.com, open it up, go to libraries, go to City of Sebastian, and then it'll open up our whole land development code, and you can just do a search like on trees, and it'll give you everything you ever wanted to know about trees in Sebastian. And as far as natives, our codes do require for our large residential subdivisions, for our commercial sites, they require 50% native landscaping. So we're there. We could maybe do better. I think commercial is more, I want to say. It's been a while since I've looked at it. But, you know, looking at these codes, and I mean, you've already brought back landscaping, and I apologize. You know, it's stuck, you know, in my purview. I can't move any faster than I do. I apologize. But it is something that we want to get done. And when you bring up Mr. Stadelman being involved, you know, we are about to embark on rewriting our comprehensive plan, and the elements of the comprehensive plan drives what happens in the land development codes. So it's very important, and you all will be involved. Good. The thing is, in growth management law and in planning law, you know, a natural resource board is never really mentioned as being a part of review of site plans, annexations, long-range plans. You all are not necessarily mentioned in that law. So that is why we proceed in the way we proceed. However, if this is something that you want this city to consider, then please bring it to the city council, and they can be the ones to tell us that. But don't feel like you're being ignored. It's just that planning law, legislation, growth management laws at the state level, I mean, they don't consider, you know, the construction board or the budget board, or not everybody has natural resource boards. Not everybody does. You see what I'm saying? Or the Parks and Rec, you know, but so you're not being ignored on purpose, but kind of because that's just the way this works on a normal basis. So we apologize.
Ms. Frazier, you never have to apologize for me.
Yeah.
I've learned a lot since I've been here in the last 2 years. How city operations function, and it's just a function of everything that goes on. That's why I brought this up, because it specifically states the formulation of policy considerations to be used as guidelines by the planning and zoning commissions in consideration of land development regulations. Even though they may not have ever had those rules or anything like that before, or regardless, it's in there. It's what we're supposed to be doing, and I see the city of Sebastian really growing by leaps and bounds. I get the feeling that this Graves property isn't the last annexation we're going to see here real shortly. And even in my own personal feelings, I feel there is a manifest destiny of Sebastian. There is a natural boundaries that we should probably go ahead and expand to. Most of Sebastian was really developed by General Development Corporation in the early 70s. I've been here since 1972. I've seen this place really, really grow, and it's been an amazing experience. I've raised all my children here, and I look forward to becoming a grandfather someday, and and we all know the rest of that story. But there's going to be a lot happening. There's a lot of going on with this board, and I just wanted to make sure we were doing what we've been assigned to do, and not any more or any less. Does anybody else have any comments on the resolution? Are you satisfied with?
I'd like to add about that, what you were saying about the ordinances and how these ordinances are all sort of due for review. And we need to look at, that begins with looking at the last point on there, which you may or may not be familiar with, but the toolkits for the BMPs and low impact design. Those toolkits are designed to, for environmentally friendly designs and practices that are always being developed. So it's a way to look at the modern technology that reduces the carbon footprint, best management practices, And then, once we establish these toolkits, then we can compare them to our ordinances, and then we can see where our ordinances may not be worded in a way that support and promote those things, and that's how we begin to address the ordinances, the best way to approach to address the ordinances.
And I'd like to add that I've never really felt completely ignored, but again, nobody has brought anything to the board considering any of these issues that affect us on a daily basis. To me, I consider these to be basically life and death issues. I mean, when you're spraying insecticides or other things that can affect you from such a broad perspective, I would think you would want as much input on it as possible, as long as it's constructive. Does anybody else have anything to input on the resolution before we vote on it?
I was wondering if, maybe we should go ahead and put the 50% on the native landscaping in this as, a direction, I mean, and then, for future development, right? And then have the new ordinance built around that.
I agree maybe with your goal. I just feel like what we're trying to do with the resolution is look big picture, because if you ask me, I'd start putting the details in about how I look at the LED lights and the water, the resolution is big picture. We want to capture the big picture elements that, topics, so to speak. This is our table of contents, and now, my earlier point was we need to fill in the detail coming up and put those goals in, and I don't know if we need to add that specific word in a resolution. Is that?
These items were developed with consideration of where we are now on these and what the NRB is going to do next on that. So all of these things have been thought. That falls under the next item. The next steps is going to be to look at each of these and discuss where we are and what's next for us.
So we'll get your goal coming in after we do this.
And I do think nature-based tourism is Sebastian's golden goose. I really, really do. We have something no one else in the whole world has. We have a first. We have the first little piece of land that was set aside for somebody else other than humans to come tramping on. And that's really important, and a lot of people want to be part of the first. And it's such a beautiful place, too, Sebastian, and everything else that goes along with it. And I see a lot of changes coming to Sebastian, and not that we haven't had a lot. I mean, when I started out here, there was like 10,000 people here. Now there's 25,000 people here. It's a beautiful place, and I want to see it be even better. Other than the addition to Ms. Hagler's from 5 points to 6 points.
Okay, that we added a bullet point to what is already there that says reducing the city's operational carbon footprint through promoting sustainable energy resources where practical and implementation of sustainable technologies.
Everybody okay with that?
Yes.
Yep. Yes. Can I get a motion to approve or move forward with this?
I move vote for approval.
I second.
Can we have a motion on the board? Can we take a voice vote for approval of the resolution as it stands to be sent to the city council? Can we take a voice vote?
Aye.
Ayes for approval?
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? Unanimously passed by the Natural Resource Board to send the resolution with the one addition by Ms. Hagler to the City Council for approval for October 9th's meeting, if possible. And this board is obviously invited to attend that meeting, I'm sure. I don't know how many City Council meetings you guys have gone to. I see Mrs. Frazier at these meetings on a regular basis. It's a lot more exciting than our meetings, I can tell you. And it depends on what's going on.
All I want to say is, be careful what you wish for, because I'm already making a list of all the things I'm going to be sending to you all, so.
We have
You
learned
may
that
or may
lesson.
not appreciate this request, so.
Okay, as we're moving along tonight, we're finished with the board member review. Any next steps that need to be taken? We just spoke about that.
So next steps will be to get this into the packet by noon tomorrow, so it'll be in the city council meeting for October 9th. And I would love to have, 100% board member participation there, but
We need a bunch of green shirts.
Yeah,
I'll
but
be there.
some of us don't have them yet.
Oh, okay.
we got a week, I'll get on it.
Is that at 6 PM?
Is it
Yeah,
6
6
PM?
p.m.
October 9th?
Yep.
As soon as the agenda comes out, I'll get it out to you so you know what time will fall in, what order will fall in on that.
Okay, we're going to move along then. Is everybody else satisfied with that? We're all good with that? Okay. Item B.
I have
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
one question for the next steps. For our next agenda, can we come back and we'll get an update from the city council meeting for sure, but can we start talking about specifics of this plan and maybe
Yep,
prioritize or get in,
Absolutely, where
details?
we are and what's next.
Thank you.
We can add that to the agenda for unfinished business? Okay. Are we complete with comment on that? Thank you. Thank the whole board for everybody's input on that issue. Item B, Community Oyster Garden Grant Project.
All right. So I'm putting together the final report for that project right now. It's pretty awesome. Thank you, all the board members, by the way, for your support and volunteer hours. I know, Brian, I was putting together this sheet. You have like 30 volunteer hours out there. I really appreciate it. We had nearly 300 participants in our programming over the past year, which is awesome. And our baskets, those 4 baskets started out around 10 pounds each with some adult oysters. They're now over 200. 2 grown men were angry at me for asking them to pull them out of the, so that's incredible. So we've shown that this area is a great area to grow oysters, and we've reached out. Our education outreach program reached over 300 people. It's fantastic.
Did I hear you right? You were saying the oysters are growing?
And
that's
over the
awesome.
past 3 months, they have grown exponentially.
I mean, when we started this a couple of years ago, remember we had the oyster, we had the people with the whole project were here, and all we could say was we were basically growing little islands in the water, and now we're starting to grow oysters. So
This is in the baskets. We started out with adult oysters in the baskets, and they've just grown. We've also added, last month, a grant project from Keep America Beautiful through a kids grant program. A local homeschool student had a grant to install the living docks, which is the traditional oyster mat, the shells attached to the mats and wrapped around the dock pilings. And those are already, it's been a month and a half. They already have spat, oyster and clam spat on them.
Wow.
And all sort of filtering organisms. I attribute their success to the fact that we have these successful baskets of oysters hanging near them, releasing all that spat right now. But so it's a great productive area there. We've also partnered with the Environmental Learning Center. They built some baskets. We helped their interns build baskets, and they're going through the permitting. When they get approved, we're going to give them a lot of our oysters, make our baskets lighter. Going forward, we're not going to have the education program in the same form, but we still want to host some utilize that space. If you've been out there at Fisherman's Landing, it's a great space for community presentations on environmental topics and water quality issues. So hopefully I have your support in planning things like that.
yeah. Does anybody have any comment on that? Would that take care of everything for final grant report submission and future project? Is there any, okay. We'll move on to item 9, member matters. Anybody with anything down at that end? I have only one thing, and I'll be quick because we're going out of time. We have the we're in the parade for Christmas here, and I was wondering how you guys thought about maybe doing a float this year, pushing the sustainable Sebastian theme. Of course, the Pelican.
No candy canes.
No plastic covered candy. Of course, that was my bright idea. But, no candy, but, we can talk a little bit more about it at the next meeting, but I was just wondering what everybody's idea, if you would like to do a float this year instead of walking in front of the fire truck. Because my ears are basically still ringing from last year, and it's wonderful. We get a lot of, everybody's like, yay, and glad to see us, but it is real close at night. And you barely see three of us. Yeah, we were doing good last year, though. And, but the fire truck was right there. But we can do something that would give us a little bit more exposure without taking up resources of the city either. I didn't know if you guys are interested in doing a float or not. I'd be glad to build it.
Sure.
If you're interested. Do we have to take a vote on that? Is that an actionable item?
Is this a fund use item?
I would probably want to do $100 at least, just so I know I got something to get something.
'Cause
I
we
don't know
should-
what the rules are on that. I'd have us a big, beautiful float that you've never seen before, but I don't know if I'm allowed to do that.
Float on, what is it gonna be on?
It's going to be on a trailer pulled by an electric vehicle. Hopefully the electric vehicle is being sponsored by.
Tesla?
If I could get a Tesla, I would, but it'll probably be something from Chevrolet
Nicole's
or
Prius.
Ford. If they still have, yeah, there you go. But just something pushing the sustainability, or even just their name
I'll
up
help you with
a little
that.
bit
I'll
bigger.
be-
Okay, great. I didn't know if you guys
I
liked
can
it or
swing a
not.
hammer.
And to let you guys know, I don't have all the best ideas either. So if my ideas aren't any good, I don't take offense by you telling me, hey, Charles, your idea's no
Yeah,
good.
but if we're gonna do it, it should be like, it should be really nice.
Yeah, it's going to be really, it's going to be something that says Sustainable Sebastian Natural Resource Board and pushing those themes and just really get in front of the fire trucks and behind the city council.
With 1,000 buttons.
All right, excellent.
Right.
Good.
And I have a whole
What I'll
art
do is
club.
I'll put it on the agenda for next meeting because we only have until December 5th, I think, or something like that.
When is the parade?
December.
It was early.
usually the
It was
beginning of
early last
December.
year.
It's
Oh, no, it
usually-
wasn't. No, it wasn't. It was
think it
right
has.
down the time. I'm thinking of the year before. And, but either way, I want to at least get the
We'll know for
drawings and
next
everything
meeting.
Well, I
done by
will
the next meeting.
I will say with the financial side of it, so the NRB, today starts the new fiscal year, so the NRB budget is down from last year. It's $1,000 this year, but last year for Earth Day, we did spend around $900. Something to think about. However, I have great news that Brian will appreciate. Parks and Rec Department just purchased a very nice, very expensive, lovely real sound system. So considering what we spent on sound last year, so that,
That was 500 or 600 right there, wasn't it?
Right. So that's a huge thing.
Yeah, yeah. So I think we'll have the money, yeah.
And then again, Earth Day, this is the 50th year for Earth Day. So we haven't really tidied up our dates and everything, but I would like to get all the vendor information sent out in November. So our next meeting for Earth Day is going to be a really,
Sanook wants to be a vendor. I met the regional person.
Yeah.
They were, so,
we'll do that again. I just bringing it up as a members matters thing. Next meeting, we're going to be talking about Earth Day celebration planning. I'm going to talk about the float. Does anybody else have any member matters? We just spoke about the Begin Earth Day celebration planning, real preliminary. That's item 10. If nobody else has anything else, I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
can we, is it possible to float a day for Earth Day at this meeting? So can we look at the calendar and
It's on the 22nd of April.
so that is that a weekend?
It's on a Wednesday.
I don't know, I haven't read it down, but it's in the books. It's
April.
We may want to hold off on that because none of us have a date.
And then Nicole.
it's the Saturday after Earth Day.
Okay. All right, well, hold off.
We can put that on the agenda,
We have it
though.
set for the Saturday after Earth Day.
You want to do it the Saturday
have-
after Earth Day?
We have to, I had to claim it like in the summer.
Okay. So we definitely have a date
Yeah,
then
our
already.
dates go fast.
Okay,
And
what's the date?
And
25th.
the closer we go to Earth Day, the more we compete with other volunteer organizations, and I think we had the most success last year going the weekend after, so
Okay.
that's what we're aiming for again.
But that puts us,
25th.
that's the, let's see,
Last weekend of April.
25th, okay.
And I just wanted to mention it because I was running out of time. I shouldn't say we, I. It was me. And,
May I just make one announcement,
Yes,
please?
ma'am.
I just wanted to make sure that this board knows that we were funded a $100,000 grant from Indian River Lagoon NEP to match our existing $100,000 in order to assist those in transferring their septic to sewer
Wow.
along the riverfront.
That's
So we
great.
have about $200,000.
That's about 10,000 per place?
It all depends. If you're hooking up to the new gravitational sewer, which is in the North County project area, it's about $5,000 or less to be able to hook up. If you're forced to use the force main, which is over on the south side of our city, in the CRA, we're only talking the CRA, you have to connect to the force main. That can run you up to about $15,000. So we're offering up to $10,000 for those and up to $5,000 for the others. So we're really hoping to get a good bang for our buck in this next year. And I just thought that you all would appreciate knowing that.
Is that?
Thank you very much.
We need to advertise that a little bit to some people, right?
Well, yes. Well, we try. I'm not sure how else we're supposed to be
Right.
advertising this, but Michelle Faulkner will be sending out little postcards in the very near future, letting those on the gravitational area that they should jump on this.
That's good news.
I have to take a vote item. Can I get a vote on if we can I get a motion to approve $100 for the float while everybody's here?
Sure.
I need a motion.
Motion to approve $100 for the float for Earth Day.
I second that. No, for Christmas.
For the Christmas
sorry,
float?
Christmas.
That's okay. A motion's been approved. Can we get a vote for that? Voice vote?
Aye.
Ayes. Unanimous vote approves $100 for the float for Christmas. Any nays? No nays. The motion is passed. Is there any other items that anybody wants to bring in? Any unfinished business, member matters, anything? Can I get a motion to adjourn this meeting?
Motion to adjourn the meeting?
Second.
Motion is passed. Can we get do we have to vote on that?
No.
No?
I don't think
Okay.
so.
Meeting adjourned.